Strange, yes. Fun, I don't know. I mean, I was having fun up until Wednesday night, man. God, this came out of nowhere, by the way. And I don't want to just, bore people with this story, but I was playing golf up at Desert Mountain. Beautiful place. Have a birdie on 18. I miss a 4-foot birdie. I go to dinner. It's 5 o'clock. I get back to the hotel. It's like 6:45 or so. I'm going to watch the Ranger-Canuck game.
Sure.
So I, get my iPad out. I'm watching the Ranger-Canuck game. Everything seems to be fine. Game's over. Rangers win. I get up. I go into the bathroom. And from that point on, which was about probably, I want to say about 8:45 out here, until about 2:15 in the morning, I basically was nonstop back and forth to the bathroom. And it hit me hard. I mean, I've never been hit like that. It's never been that violent ever in my life. And, like when you're actually doing that and you're going through vomiting. Yeah. And right at the end of it, you get that shiver shake. Like this, I did that about 14 times.
Oh my God!
I mean, it was unbelievable how hard it hit me, and I apologize to our listeners and to everybody else. You guys did a great job yesterday. I understand making fun of me, but I appreciate the fact that you guys sucked it up and you guys did not get sick. But it was awful.
Well, not yet.
I got to tell you, it was awful, and I just want to say thank you to my daughter Sydney, because she was all over it. So she knew I wasn't on the show, so she texted me, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I got the stomach bug, blah, 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 blah." Next thing I know, I get here, knock on the door. It's a IV nurse. IV nurse is at my hotel room, giving me an IV.
An actual IV nurse, not like a singing telegram stripper or something like that?
No, she set it up through the IV company and everything. Okay. So I was able to get an IV yesterday, and then she also door-dashed over a whole bunch of stuff like saltine crackers and Pedialyte Advanced Care and everything else. I mean, so I was loaded up yesterday. You see, I have a lot of Gatorade here in front of me.
So it took about 30 years for her to finally give you something back.
Well, she gives me a lot back. But I have to say that, she was like right on it. And in about 15 minutes, she had everything all taken care of. But it hit hard, man. I'm telling you, this thing. And then, of course, we start getting all the tweets and everything about that this thing is running rampant all across the country.
Yes, that's right. So you said it came out of nowhere. For me, it's not going to come out of nowhere because I'm prepared for it now. I will get sick. I'm just hoping that it doesn't happen on the flight home. That's the only thing I'm asking for. I'll get through today because I think the incubation period's about 24 hours. I'm just worried that the second I sit down on that flight, which is a 5.5-hour flight, then that's when it's going to hit me. So that's the only thing I'm trying to avoid. At this point, I told Jerry's like, I'm going to stand over here. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to get near Boomer. I said, Jerry, just lean into it. Just embrace it. Like it's going to happen. Sort of like death. We know it's going to happen. So just embrace it. Same thing with this norovirus, which is the most contagious thing in the history of viruses. So,
well, all I know is this, the three guys that I've been playing golf with, nobody shows any signs of anything. So, I don't know if I got it from something that I ate or I picked it up somewhere, but all I know is
you did have some sort of fish dinner, did you not?
I did. I had a Dover sole amandine, yes.
Dover sole, that's probably the last time you're going to have a Dover sole amandine.
Yeah, but, it's like right now I have PTSD to eat. I will tell you that. Yeah. I have not eaten anything except saltines and like I said, the Pedialyte Advanced Care and now Gatorade. That's all I've eaten in the last 24 hours. I have no desire to have any food whatsoever. It's a good way to start a diet, I would think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm totally flushed clean. I mean, that final episode in the bathroom, it was coming out of both sides at the same time, and I had to open up the shower door, which was right in front of the toilet. Sorry, folks. I just got to tell you this.
No, I told that story yesterday, so they already know, yes.
It's unbelievable. That's never happened before, ever in my life, ever.
You told me that at one point you thought you were going to die.
I thought, I was like, just get me out of here. I don't want to go through this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, that you were ready to leave the earth because of this.
Right at that moment, because I just could not believe. I think my small intestines got involved because it was just so much. And I don't know. Me, like I'm Mr. Metamucil and everything else. I'm all about, smooth feeling and all that. But I
feel like this is an annual thing for you. This is the third since I've been working with you, stomach virus that has hit you right around the Super Bowl.
It must be. I don't know. But this one was by far the worst. Yeah. That's all I can tell you. And quite frankly, you saw me yesterday morning, and I was walking around in the lobby of the hotel with a bag in my hand just in case.
Yeah.
And I was just not aware of anything that was going on at that moment.
Yeah, yeah, that was the lobby when we were leaving, or I was leaving in the morning, where you told me you weren't going to do the show. Later, I saw you in the lobby walking around, trying to get your bearings again. And the funniest part to me about that, where there were some Bengal fans that were there that recognized you and nestled right into you as you're still sweating out your neurovirus, and were taking pictures. Little do these people know that in about 24 hours, they are going to have the worst experience of their life and probably miss the Super Bowl because they got that picture with Boomer. But I didn't tell them. I just said, let them do what they want to do. You know, you take a risk every day, right?
I mean, you would have thought that they would have known, because the way that we were standing and how far you and your family were from me.
Right, yeah, I was
shouting. That they would kind of get that there was something wrong. But they weren't paying attention. They wanted a picture, so I was more than happy to oblige. That's all I could tell you. But, you know, I missed yesterday because I just wanted to get up in Jerry's face about this whole Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
I know, it's a shame.
What a freaking disaster that whole thing turned out to be. And it's kind of like we predicted that 3.5 years ago that these guys were not going to do anything. And it really is. It's really such a stain on the NBA about how this whole thing went down in Brooklyn. It really is.
No, absolutely. And I said it yesterday. These are the guys that make you hate the NBA superstar and turn you off to pro sports these days. Not honoring the contract, making all this money, thinking they could dictate everything, and then they end up getting that. They ended up getting what they wanted, and they blew up the franchise. And it really turned you off. So yeah, I mean, we did. You know, Jerry was. He got sort of a good and a bad yesterday. He got the good that you weren't in his face about it, but he got the bad that he had to host for 5 hours and do updates and talk about it nonstop. And he vacuumed yesterday too. By the way, yeah.
At the end of the day, he was vacuuming as well. Well, good for him. You know, that was great. And by the way, I didn't start with it. I should have started with it because Guy Adami wanted me to start with it, and that was Vladimir Tarasenko and Nico Mikkola coming to the New York Rangers. You know, much like what Lou Lamoriello did about a week ago with Bo Horvat. This is a great trade by Chris Drury, a great trade. And I don't think he's done yet for us Ranger fans. But I know that yesterday when I saw this, it was the one thing that brought a big smile to my face.
Good.
That's all I can tell you. I felt really good about this whole trade. And I think it's great. I think it's one of those all-in moves that, look, we feel like we got a really good team here. We know that we're in a very difficult conference. And we're going to have to, we're going to have to load up. And if Vladimir Tarasenko can be the guy that he has been in the past for the Blues in the playoffs, this could set up a first line of Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, and Vladimir Tarasenko. The potential for that is explosive, and hopefully that will work, and the Rangers will go deep into playoffs, if not going all the way to the Stanley Cup.
Yes, you had a really bad day for the Nets and Nets fans yesterday, but a really good day for a lot of local teams. The Rangers make a big deal. The Jets had a day yesterday.
Oh, man, what a day did they
have.
Oh,
my God, you got two guys, two of your best players in history making it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Darrelle Revis and Joe Klecko finally, and you have to be proud about that and happy about that because you've been screaming about that for years and years and years. And then they swept the Rookie of the Year category, which we had expected with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. So, I mean, the Jet fan wants their team to be here. They want their team to win a Super Bowl. But this was a really good day in Jets land on Thursday into Friday at Super Bowl week.
Yeah, I was so happy for Joe Klecko, and from a player who played against him and somebody who knew how difficult he was to play against, and how he disrupted your team, and where you had to know where he was at all times. And for him to finally get this, I'm sure he's elated. I didn't see him. I know he sent me a text yesterday, but I wasn't really responding to anything yesterday. Yeah. I'll congratulate him today, but certainly really happy for him.
You blew off Joe Klecko?
I blew off everybody yesterday, man.
So Joe Klecko gets into the Hall of Fame. And you didn't respond to his text message?
He got into the Hall of Fame last night.
Oh, okay.
His text was in the afternoon.
Oh, what did it say? Like, hey, wish me luck. I'm nervous. And you were just like, screw you, Joe. I'm puking.
It just said, hey, it's Joe Klecko. Love to see you out here.
Oh, okay.
That's all it said.
All right, it wasn't.
And I would get back to it today and just tell him, look, you probably don't want to be anywhere near me right now.
Right, exactly.
As I'm sweating through this first segment.
Yeah, I know. I was just about to say that. You were pouring out sweat.
No.
I mean,
I'm still dealing with it. What can I tell you?
No, of course. I know. That's why it's definitely the neurovirus and not food poisoning. Although Eddie speculated that it was a placenta milkshake that got you yesterday. That was the moment of the day. Somehow he had a drop of you saying placenta milkshake. Do you remember ever saying that?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, in a weird way, yes. because that was a whole discussion of weird things that were happening after the birth of their children, or I forget who we were talking about.
Yeah.
But I kind of remember it.
Right, so Eddie set up the drop. That was moment of the day. He goes, gee, do you know what Boomer ate last night? And I said, no, I actually didn't ask him. And then all of a sudden the drop comes in, placenta milkshake. And then we just all fell over and laughed for a good 10 minutes.
All right.
But yeah, so this is it. We are here on the final day of Radio Row, and we've barely talked about the Chiefs and the Eagles. I mean, and I know that we do a lot of buzz, no buzz, and sometimes in our world, because we live in the New York sports bubble, that buzz or no buzz doesn't really match with what's going on nationally. But quite frankly, I mean, I feel like this is the least amount of buzz going into a Super Bowl that we have had in years. Now, I don't know if you feel that way. And the NBA sort of dominated this week, but I mean, nobody's really said anything of note. There hasn't been a lot of controversy. Both these teams have won a Super Bowl in recent memory. I mean, what has there been that has got you fired up for the game? Now, the game could be great, could be an all-time great, two very, very good teams, one seed. But, I mean, this has just been like, get us to the game, because nothing has happened this week of interest between the two teams.
Well, there's no Cinderella story here.
Yeah,
that's
nothing.
why everybody, kind of expected these two teams to be here. Maybe the Bengals didn't, and maybe the Bills didn't.
Yeah.
But everybody in the NFC knew that it was going to be difficult beating Philadelphia, especially having to go through Philadelphia. Can you believe that, Patrick Mahomes is an underdog? Right. And for the third time out of the last four Super Bowls, the Kansas City Chiefs happen to be in this game. And, he's got to go up against like a number one defense. He had to do it, of course, against San Francisco. He had to do it against Tampa. And if you remember that game against Tampa, he was running around all over the place, like to the tune of like 3.5 miles or something, they were saying, because that defense was so good. And Todd Bowles got a lot of credit out of that one and ended up getting the head coaching job there in Tampa after Bruce Arians resigned. And then he had to go up against now, a team that comes in with all these sacks, with all these pressures, and a team that's got the speed to actually match the speed of the Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah. I think people figured that this was going to be this Super Bowl. Like I said, there's no underdog. There's no new feeling about it. Maybe, I guess, Jalen Hurts being here is great. Two black quarterbacks being here are great. The fact that, there's no Tyreek Hill. There's no real, personality on either one of these teams other than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean,
he's probably why.
Right. I mean, he's a personality, but he's a good personality. It's not like he's not like Marshawn Lynch personality. He's not like that at all. So I mean, he's just, everything about him is sort of perfect. And now, the storyline of the ankle really isn't a storyline, because they've had 2 weeks to get him ready, and he looked fine for having a high ankle sprain in the AFC Championship game. So I just think it's about time to get to this game and then watch it and then break it down, because there really is, even going into it, I mean, I think that people are just like, hey, these are two very good offenses. I think that people believe that the Eagles defense is probably better on paper than the Chiefs defense, but look how good the Chiefs defense played in the AFC Championship game.
Well, the Chiefs defense is damn good. The big thing about them, and they played really well in the secondary against the Bengals, is that the youth in the secondary, they have three young guys back there that are pressed into spots that, could be difficult spots for them, especially if Jalen Hurts is running around and making plays that way, because then all of a sudden, when that stuff starts happening, that's where these guys could end up getting lost. So we'll see how that works out. I just think Jalen Hurts, the interesting thing about him, he doesn't have to have like a 350-yard game to win this game.
No.
He could just throw for, 250 yards, and he can run for about 55 yards. And as long as he doesn't turn it over and they don't fumble it, I don't see how they lose.
Apparently, Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs, who had that huge game in the AFC title game, said that he was under the weather, and there was something that was going around in the Chiefs locker room, not stomach related, so you did not infect the Chiefs, but something to do with like a cold or something, or a flu.
Well, they'll all get IVs. Yeah. I'm telling you, they'll all get whatever they need to make sure that they feel good come Sunday. And they're still about three or 4 days away from the game, or they were 3 or 4 days away from the game when he said this. So, and I know it's not fun playing under those conditions. So that's hopefully he'll be 100%, because he's going to need to be 100% and be the player that he's capable of being. I think he's third all time in sacks in the playoffs.
Yeah. And speaking of bugs in the locker room, so yesterday we had Cam Hayward sitting here at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I asked him, how the hell did you lose to Zach Wilson and the Jets? And he said, I was under the weather that week. I think we had a bug going on in the locker room. TJ Watt didn't play, he had an injury. So then I asked my buddy from Pittsburgh, did you hear about that going into that game, that the team was sick? And he goes, no, it's not what he was talking about. What he was talking about, the bug in the locker room, was that wide receiver Deontay Johnson punched Mitch Trubisky in the face that week. And that was the bug that was going through the locker room.
He punched him in the face.
Yes, and I was like, have you guys talked about this on the air? He goes, yeah, no, we've talked about it. It's like, it's a fact. And
I have not. This is the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, that's part of the reason why Trubisky ended up getting benched, because it was like this horrible interaction between the two of them.
Yeah, but so wait a minute. So Mitch Trubisky ends up getting punched and benched?
Punched and benched.
How does that work?
Pretty bad, I know. Only something Mitch Trubisky can do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Deontay Johnson deserves. Why would? I mean, come on. Why is he punching his teammate?
Because he sucks, I think, and he wasn't throwing him the ball. That's what happened. I wish I would have known that yesterday. I would have asked Cam Hayward about it, but I didn't know until
Man, I
afterwards.
wish I would have known that when it happened.
I know, me too. And going into the Jets, I would have picked the Jets to win.
Now I feel like it's such an after the season's over kind of thing that it doesn't make headlines. This would have made headlines, and I'm sure it did in Pittsburgh.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just surprised it didn't get out. And I thought it was going to be a much bigger story.
But you said that they were talking about it on the radio.
Yes,
though.
that's what I said. I said, you guys discuss this on the air? Because I don't want to go on the air if it's something that's like a secret behind the scenes. It's like, no, we've had a ton of conversations about it. I'm like, how did I miss this? It's a huge deal.
How did we all miss it?
I guess so. I mean, the IK and Polly and the Geno Smith thing, I mean, that was national.
Yeah, that was national, but, we're obviously, as you said earlier, in the sports bubble of New York, so we're going to see it and we're going to feel it. But I had no idea that had happened.
Yeah.
Wow, that is something.
Crazy. All right, Boomer and Gio just getting started on this Feel Good Football Friday.